Hi guys, hello everyone. I know, it's been a long time since I came back to you guys with a TFA update or even just like a regular sit down video. So I wanted to come back because a lot has happened in the TFA realm since I've been on here. So I wanted to kind of come back and like give you guys an update. So I'm gonna be filming probably 2 TFA videos, Teach for America videos today, just so I can kind of catch up to what's been going on because a lot has been happening. So just to give a small recap, I accepted the position in December of 2021 and it is now June of 2022. So it's been like 6 months of developments, okay? So the things that we covered and the first video was just my acceptance, my region placement and things like that. And then the last video, we got into just like onboarding items and kind of getting into the groove of things. Well, you guys, when I tell you this whole process is like a whirlwind, like it's just one thing after the next, one thing after the next. So the last thing I spoke about was sort of getting into the testing. So I kind of want to continue telling you guys about the testing process and what that was like. So in the last video, I spoke about me scheduling my test and how my math test I was able to do it at home proctoring, but with my reading test, I had to do it in person, right? So when it came, sorry, I have my laptop here just with my notes because I don't want to forget anything. So for the math test, okay, just as a recap, I am going into elementary education. So for me, I was required to take the Praxis Mathematics test and the Pearson Foundations of Reading test, okay? Just so you guys can get an idea, because if you are in middle school or special education or high school, there are different tests based on what you are going to be teaching. So for me, elementary education, those were the 2 tests that I had to pass in order to move on to the next steps, right? So for the math test, I did the at-home proctoring. So I scheduled a time with my mentor, with the person who was over testing. I scheduled a time with her. We met and we were able to figure out a testing time that worked best for me. So once I scheduled it, of course I studied and I used study.com. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in my previous video, study.com, because Teach for America provided us with a free subscription and study.com really helped. So I studied and I used that resource until it was time for me to take the test. When it came to taking the test, one thing I will tell you is you're gonna need a whiteboard and an eraser, okay? This is very important because before the test, I had no idea that I would need that. And if you're taking it at home, it's really important that you know that you're gonna need a whiteboard, because I almost wasn't able to take my test because I didn't have a whiteboard, because Lowen had told me that I would need that before. You're not allowed to use pencil and paper because they don't want you to be hanging on to the information after you finish the test. They want to be able to see that you've completely erased your board at the end of the test, so that you're not keeping any of the answers to yourself and possibly passing them along to someone else. So I did not know this before. So when I was planning to take the test, I was planning to do it at school because I was just gonna be in a quiet room and just take the test and then leave after that. So I log on to the proctoring session, and what it is someone comes on and they like take control of your computer to like make sure that the proper tabs are closed, to put in the proper ID for the test and everything like that. So once that is done, they say, okay, can I see, like they ask to see your surroundings, they ask to see the whiteboard to make sure that you have it, or you can opt not to use it, but I would recommend having a whiteboard. So when she asked about the whiteboard, I was like, whiteboard, like I don't have one. And I was like, can I use a pen and paper? And they said no, because of the reason I mentioned before, that they don't want anyone taking any information back to other people and possibly sharing those questions and those answers. So I had to quickly leave my school and run home to where I had like not even a regular whiteboard. I had like a erasable calendar, and I just erased everything off of it, and I used the calendar to be my whiteboard, and I just showed her my proctor and she said it was 7. And when it came to the at-home proctoring, the checks that they did were so thorough. Like, she wanted to see the desk area, she wanted to see the floor around me where I would be taking it, she wanted to see my surroundings, she wanted to see the door in my room to make sure it was behind me, she wanted to see like in my face, she wanted to see my glasses. Like, I had to take off my glasses and like hold them up to the camera so she could make sure that there wasn't like any cameras or anything in my glasses. Like, the checks that they made at this at-home proctoring were very, very thorough, so just be aware of that as well. Also, when it comes to internet connection, please be sure that your connection is strong enough to withstand the proctoring, because you don't want any discrepancies with that as well, because if it goes down and it comes back up, you might be invalidated or something like that. So just be aware of that. So finally, I made it through all of the checks, and then I went in to take my test. But yes, so once the time was up, the proctor came back on, closed out the test, typed in the code or whatever, and made sure that everything was legit, made sure that you erased your board, and then you were able to log out and move on. The results for the math test I got immediately right after my test, but it was a different story for the reading test. The reading test, the results took about like 3 weeks to a month to come out, but for the math test, I got my results right away. Now, on the other hand, the reason that the reading test takes so long is because there's 2 short answer questions at the end of it that they have to actually read over and grade. So that is going to transition me into the reading test. Now, for the reading test, I went in person and did that one rather than going home, because they didn't have any at-home proctoring options. So I had to find the closest testing center near me, and then I signed up for it. So when it came for the day for me to take the test, I went into the testing center, and I went and I told them what I was there for and everything like that. And the people were like, yeah, we don't have your test, we don't know what to do. So I was sitting there for like a good 15 minutes thinking that I wasn't going to be able to take my test. And I was worried because Teach for America gives you 1 voucher for each test that you get to take. And if you pass, then you don't have to pay anything. But if you fail any of your tests, then every test that you take after that is on your behalf. Like, you have to pay out of pocket for it. So it's very important that you study for on those first attempts so that you can go ahead and pass, and no money is coming out of your pocket to test. So I was really worried because I was like, I don't want to have to like reschedule or possibly lose my voucher or anything because they don't have my test. So then after calling like 2 or 3 other people, higher ups, to come and look at it and to look into the documents, finally my test was found, and I was able to go ahead and go in and take the test. And the test was 100 multiple choice questions and then 2 short answer questions. It was brutal. Like, it was just a lot of stuff coming at you at one time, but you have to stay focused. You know, you can't be looking around and stuff. You have to stay into it. So there was a lot about phonics. Study.com really does cover all the material that you're going to see on the test. There was a lot of phonics, there was a lot of reading comprehension, stuff like that. So be sure to use the study materials that TFA gives you because they are actually spot on. So I took the test and then I did the 2 short answer questions, and they were really very similar to the practice questions that we were given. Like, it was different concepts, but the formatting and the way that you are expected to answer were very similar to the practice, so that was very helpful as well. So I finished the test, and then like I said before, the results didn't come back for another 3 weeks to a month. And then once my results did come back for both of the tests, Teach for America gave a deadline for when we were to upload our test scores and have everything ready for that. So let me see. So there are requirements based on your region of what score you should have. So for each test, there's like a benchmark score, but then there's the score that your specific state needs for you to be able to become a teacher. So be sure to look at your specific requirements, because you could have met the benchmark but not meet the requirements for your state. So once you upload your scores, you'll be able to see if you've passed or failed, and then based on that, you'll create a plan to either restudy for the test and go back over everything that you need to try again for the test, or you will move on to the hiring activities. Okay, so we uploaded everything into Google Classroom, and then someone reviewed it to tell us whether we passed or failed and what we needed to do as next steps. And thankfully, I passed both of my tests with the required benchmark for North Carolina, the region. So I was able to move on, and I didn't have to spend any money out of pocket, so God bless. So after passing the test, the next step is hiring activities.